Well, I just got back from SHOT Show 2024, and one thing I noticed out there at SHOT Show was the popularity of 5.7 by 28 firearms, especially, you know, these pistols from like Palmetto State Armory. Heck, you can get a 5.7 pistol from PSA for roughly about 360 bucks, well over $400. Matter of fact, the ones at their booth, they were showing off their new X57.
Hi guys, this is the new PSA X 5.7. It is a concept gun that we are working on right now.
You know, kind of a personal weapon defense system, you know, for roughly $1,000 is pretty darn cool. And I guess I've always wanted a 5.7, but the only thing that held me back was the fact that I just don't reload for it. And the price of ammunition for 5.7, at least right now, is about roughly about 45 cents a round. At the height of price hikes with ammunition, roughly about a year or two ago, it was well over $1 a piece, and I just can't justify that to shoot out of a pistol. I'm just going to grab my 9mm. You know, the advantage of the 5.7 is it's ultra fast. It's probably one of the few smaller cartridges that will fit in a pistol that can actually pierce body armor. And you know, like I said, it's hard to justify getting a 5.7 because it's just so expensive to buy for factory ammunition. But what's different about 5.7 is it's actually a bottleneck cartridge. It's not a straight wall casing, something like 9mm or 40 Smith & Wesson, 45 ACP, or Big 3. They're straight wall cartridges. In my opinion, you just don't need to anneal those. But when it comes to 5.7, it's actually a bottleneck cartridge. And being that it's bottlenecked, I would want it to anneal it. And the reason why you want to anneal bottleneck cartridges is it's bumping that headspace off the datum line of that bottleneck. And in my opinion, to get a consistent headspace bump, you really need to anneal. I don't know many annealers out there that can anneal cartridges or casings that small. You know, this 5.7 by 28 is coming in roughly about 1.125 long. You know, I've said for many years that our EP 2.0 Annealer will anneal from 17 Hornet to 50 BMG without having to add or remove any parts within and adjust from casing to casing with under 30 seconds. And the 17 Hornet comes in at roughly about 1.3 inches, give or take, long, where the 5.7 comes in at roughly 1.125 inches long. We're talking 1/4 inch less. And there's not really, that I know, many annealers out there that can go that small, you know, a little over 1 inch long. But I've already tested this on the EP 2.0 Annealer. It definitely will cycle it through. I've never annealed 5.7, but I'm gonna give it a shot here for you guys on camera. So about every 3 months, I feel like EP Integrations gets the email, will the EP 2.0 Annealer go down to 5.7 as this cartridge becomes more popular? And one of our potential customers, Jeff, he asked us that question a few weeks ago. And you know, after being asked so many times, I said, hey, why don't you send me some 5.7 empty casings? And I'm just going to double check, make sure that all these primers are popped. So, yep, those are all fired, and these are all fired. So no live primers. So that's definitely important to do before you use the EP2 Annealer or any flame-based annealer of that sort. Will it do it something this short? You know, for years, I've always said that the EP2 Annealer will go down to 17 Hornet. So that's what this is, just to show you on the head stamp. So 100% that is 17 Hornet. And 17 Hornet comes in at 1.34, roughly 1.35. And the 5.7 is roughly 1/4 inch less. So let's see if this will function. I kind of got this set up already. So here is the 5.7. I've yet to anneal this. I'm not totally sure what the speed is. I'm going to guess it's around 40. It's a really small casing, and I don't think it's going to take long to anneal. I'm probably going to have to lower down the flame. Like I said, I've yet to do this. But just to show you that this will function. And I'm going to do this for a little bit before I actually turn on this torch. So we got about 41 on the display. And I'm gonna let this go for about 5 more times. And so far, it looks like it's doing it with ease. And I think I got enough sticking out of the drum here. Now, one good question that we always get is, how far should the casing stick out of the drum? There is really no set standard. It's just, the most important thing, obviously, is you don't want the side of the torch to hit the drum. Simple as that. And I usually get that tip of the hotter blue inner flame, the hotter blue inner corona flame, pointing right where the neck meets the shoulder. And I got a feeling, especially with a cartridge or casing this small, I'm definitely going to have to lower this flame. Now I'm going to put on my safety glasses here. Always make sure that that ammunition is not live, or especially doesn't have a live primer in it, because it will explode. And that's something, you know, common sense. You got to make sure that you're not dealing with casings with live primers. But it looks like this is functioning just fine. So I'm going to start up this flame. Now, I personally like to use the glow method. Some people like to use Templac. It's just your own preference. But what I try to do is get the neck and the start of the shoulder just starting to glow red, and then get it out of the flame. All right, so I'm going to purposely lower this down on this first piece. Now, usually I like to use test brass. I will purposely keep a batch of brass I was about to throw away. I'll keep that as test brass for the sole purpose of positioning my torch and getting the timer set just right. And once I know that this is all set up and ready to rock and roll, then I'll switch over to my actual brass. And check out EP Integrations. We have numerous videos that show you how to do that using the glow method. But I'm going to probably speed this up just a little bit more. The 4 pieces that Jeff sent us that says no coating. He also sent another 4 pieces that says with coating. So I'm going to drop this in. I'm going to situate my torch head. And this is going to get glowing red hot. Remember, this is probably an example of just test brass. So right there, I'd say that's just about perfect. I get that hotter blue inner corona flame just barely touching that brass. So I'm going to actually increase this flame. I'm going to get it a little bit hotter. So probably something like that. And I'm actually going to grab this because I'm only working with 4 pieces here. Usually when I have test brass, I like to personally get about 20 pieces for test brass. So rather than throwing it away, I'll keep it around for setting up the annealer. But obviously I'm only working with 4 here, so I got to use a pair of pliers and reuse this. So now I'm just doing this to position the flame. So I would say right about there. And I'm definitely missing the drum. This flame is not hitting the drum whatsoever. Kind of doing this to prove the point that the flame is missing the drum and the brass is sticking out of the drum far enough to be annealed. So I would say that's just about perfect. Probably get that just a little bit. Now it's getting nice and hot and dropping out. And I think I could actually increase this flame a little bit more. So I'm going to grab another piece of brass here. So I got 3 more pieces left. So that hotter blue inner flame is just barely touching. So that's getting red hot. I think I'm just going to go on full max here. Looks like it can definitely take it. But I'm just doing this more to prove that the flame can definitely anneal the brass and miss the drum. All right, so I'm going to do one more piece here. So now it's hard to show this on camera, but at least in person, I can see the neck and the start of the shoulder starting to glow red and drop out. So I'm gonna grab some of this other stuff. I promised him that I would test this for him. All right, so this has the coating on it. This starts to glow and drops out. Now I don't know what that coating is, but it looks like some of that coating might be getting on this brass stopper. It's actually trying to change the color here, and I'll try and zoom on this. So 100%, this will definitely go down to 5.7. So let me turn the lights back on. And just to show you that it is putting an anneal mark on there. It looks like that anneal mark is roughly, I would say about 3/8 of an inch down on the case body. So 100% it's able to anneal this 5.7. So I'm just gonna sacrifice the rest of these casings here just to show you that this will cycle. And it will anneal it, and the fact that the brass can stick out far enough out of the drum and the flame can hit it without the flame hitting the side of the drum itself. So I'm going to finish up the rest of these. So this is probably a little more hot than I would anneal the brass at. Like I said, all I'm trying to prove is the fact that this will cycle and that the flame will miss the side of the drum, and that's it. So I think I've proved the point here that the EP 2.0 Annealer can definitely anneal 5.7. Now, I would say these casings are definitely over annealed. This is the first time for me to at least anneal 5.7. My main goal here was just to prove the fact that this adjustable shim plate can adjust out far enough and have enough brass in the drum so it doesn't fall out. All the weight obviously in the brass is in the base of the brass itself. And this definitely sticks out far enough so that the side of the torch head or the flame coming out of the torch head doesn't hit the drum and ruin the drum. And obviously you can see the anneal mark here. It's about 1/4 of an inch down. This is 100% annealed. That's it. Like I said, this is probably a little over annealed, but like I said, I'm just trying to prove the point that this will work. You know, I noticed some of this, he says, has a coating on it. I'm not totally sure what this coating is. I got a feeling some of that coating got on the brass stopper and was changing the color of the flame a little bit, but that's kind of a mood issue. I'm just trying to prove the point that it can do 5.7. Well, I think I've pretty much proven there that the EP 2.0 Annealer can definitely go down to 5.7. You know, casings just a little over an inch long. And I think this is something that has me wanting to get the 5.7 now. The fact that I can actually anneal it, I can actually reload for it. I'm not paying roughly 40 to 50 cents a piece, especially at the height of ammo prices about a year ago, pushing $1. That's the whole reason why I never got a 5.7. And I think I'm going to actually change what our EP200 Annealer can do now. Being that I've proven the fact that it can do 5.7, that the EP2.0 Annealer can anneal from 5.7 to 50 BMG and switch from casing to casing without having to add or remove any parts and switch in under 30 seconds. And that's where this really shines. You know, about every week we probably get someone emailing us, well, why don't you have a hopper? And there's good reason for that. We like to keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method. I'm not saying we won't ever get a, I don't think I'd want a hopper. I'd actually want a case feeder, something I could throw handfuls of brass and it'll actually, turn it around. I don't have to physically pick up that brass. The machine does that orientation for me and feeds it. If I was going to have anything, I'd want a case feeder, not a hopper. A hopper, you still have to do the same thing as the EP200 Annealer. You have to physically pick up each piece, orientate it, put it in a hopper or a single feed fence. And that, in my opinion, is a mood issue. It doesn't make the annealing process any faster. If that casing on a flame-based annealer needs roughly 5 to 6 seconds per casing, it still needs 5 to 6 seconds. It doesn't matter if it has a hopper or not. And that's just our logic here, at least at EP Integrations with Scott Peterson and myself. I've owned annealers before that have a hopper, and I'm just being honest with you, I got to the point where I just stopped using them. After I swapped out wheels, screwing around with parts to go from casing to casing, I would easily be roughly about a quarter into the reloading process with the EP20 annealer because it just literally probably 10 to 20 seconds. And there's a reason why we don't fix the torch head. We keep it loose for a reason. It's fast, it's simple. It's just no need to mount that torch head. And that's it. You know, it's one of those things that I can explain to you until I'm blue in the face, but until you actually use this unit, and I've had guys said that emails before, like, I was really hesitant about getting your annealer because it didn't have a hopper, but now that I've used it, it's definitely the way to go. You just don't need a hopper. And especially if you anneal in 100 or maybe 200 pieces or less, you know, it's just a flame-based annealer. It's not like something you can just load up a hopper and walk away and go mow the yard and come back and all your brass is freshly annealed. It's a flame-based annealer. You need to watch the process. So at that point, it's just a mood issue. Well, I just want to thank Jeff again. Thank you for sending that brass. Like I promised, I will send you a promo code for some money off on your next annealer. And I'm going to throw this out to you. I'm not going to promise this to everyone. But if there's casing that, you know, hey, I'm not totally sure if I can find an annealer for it, and you want to send it to us, and we agree that, hey, you send that casing to us on your own dime, I'll test it for you, and I'll prove, like in this video, that it will work. If we do that and it does work, I will send you a promo code for some money off on your annealer purchase. Like I said, I'm not going to promise that. There's only a limited amount of casings out there in the world. So, but it's definitely something, if you're interested, you can send us that email and we can chat about it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, the fact that the EP20 annealer can anneal down to 5.7 by 28. And if you got something out of this, scratch our back, and we'll continue to scratch yours by subscribe, like, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next video.